your girl 7 here, and Latias and Latios are officially gone. They are no longer obtainable in Pokemon Go. So that leads us to ask the question, what are the next legendary Pokemon going to be in Pokemon Go? Now, as you guys know, they usually go in order from Generation 1 all the way to Generation 3. We now have every Generation 3 legendary except for the 3 Regis. So in today's video, we're going to talk about the 3 Regis, Regirock, Regice, Registeel. We're going to go over their stats, how to take them down as raid bosses, and pretty much everything you need to know. So let's get started. I just want to give some credit to Pokemon Go Hub really quick before we get started. I'm going to be going over their articles and their Regi raid guides that they have. They're really good, really helpful. If you guys want full details, go to PokemonGoHub.net. They are really a good source. So I'm just going to throw that in before we get started. So Regirock will be a level 5 legendary raid boss, of course. It's a pure rock type, so it's going to have tons of weaknesses. We'll go over that in just a second. Its raid boss CP is going to be 41,777. A perfect IV Regirock is going to have 1764 CP, and in the weather boost it's going to have 2205. On Pokemon Go Hub, they say that the minimum amount of trainers you're going to need to take down Regirock is 4, but they really recommend going in with 5 to 7 trainers just to be safe. I personally believe you could take it down with 4 myself, but like they said, a lot of people are going to be lower level, not have as good of counters, so definitely be careful and only go in with 5 to 7 trainers just so you don't mess up. Unless you do want to do the challenge and see how many trainers you can beat it with, that's totally fine. Just be careful and don't waste your raid pass. So let's talk about which charged moves Regirock can get. It can learn Focus Blast, Zap Cannon, and Stone Edge. That's a rock, fighting, and electric move, so just keep that in mind. Be careful with your water types. If the game is not suggesting any water types when you go into the raid lobby, it most likely has Zap Cannon, and you absolutely don't want to use water types against an electric type charge move. I'm just going to go ahead and say right now that MACHAMP is going to be your best counter for all 3 of the Regis. MACHAMP is going to be absolutely so effective against Regirock. It's a very good one to use. It's going to be great against Registeel and Regice as well, but we'll get into that in just a second. You want your MACHAMP to have counter and dynamic punch as its moveset. It's going to be a great one to use. Some other counters that Pokemon Go Hub actually suggested were Kyogre with Waterfall and Hydro Pump. That would be a great one. Hariyama with counter and dynamic punch. Groudon with Mud Shot and Solar Beam. Heracross with counter and close combat. Exeggutor with Bullet Seed and Solar Beam. Vaporeon with Water Gun and Hydro Pump. Breloom with counter and dynamic punch. Poliwrath with Rock Smash and dynamic punch. Basically, water types, fighting types, those are going to be the really good ones to use. But like I said, be careful with your water types. If the Regirock has Zap Cannon, you're going to get absolutely destroyed. But another thing, grass types would be really good against a rock type as well. So you have plenty of counters to choose from with Regirock. It's a really easy one to take down with the right amount of trainers and everything. So don't worry too much about Regirock. It's going to be pretty simple. Absolutely do not use a Gyarados against a Regirock. Even though it's a really strong water type in Pokemon Go, it's actually a water flying type. So it's going to take so much damage from the electric type moves, and it's also going to take a lot of damage from the rock type moves. So just don't use a Gyarados. It's definitely not a good idea. I'm personally going to just go in with all fighting types in every Regirock raid. I feel like that's the easiest and most sure way that you're going to be able to take it down. So definitely power up those Machamps, Hariyamas, Heracross, whatever you got. They're going to be so great. So let's talk about Registeel. Registeel is going to be another level 5 legendary raid boss, and its max CP is going to be 30,596. So that's actually a way lower max CP than the legendary Regirock, and this one's going to be really easy to take down too. Registeel is actually just a pure steel type, which has 3 weaknesses: ground, fighting, and fire. So like I said before, fighting type is going to be really great to use, but let's go over all of the counters for Registeel. 100% encounter CP for Registeel is going to be 1292, and with the weather boost it'll be 1615. Now Pokemon Go Hub actually recommends here to use 5 to 6 trainers to take down Registeel. That sounds about right. It's another one that you might be able to take down with 4 trainers, but definitely just be safe and use 5 to 6 trainers in a raid battle. So let's talk about the best counters for Registeel. Probably one of the best would be Entei with Fire Spin and Overheat. Also, Moltres with Fire Spin and Overheat would be really good. A Blaziken with counter and overheat would be a great one. Honestly, Blaziken's one of the really good ones because it's fighting and fire type, so any moves that it has is going to be really effective against Registeel. We also have Groudon with Mud Shot and Earthquake, Flareon with Fire Spin and Overheat as well, and of course we have Machamp with counter and dynamic punch, as well as Hariyama with counter and dynamic punch. Like I said before, those fighting and fire types are going to be absolutely super effective. Now let's talk about which charge moves Registeel can have. It can have Focus Blast, Flash Cannon, and Hyper Beam. You really don't have to worry too much about any of those as long as you're going in with the right counters. Overall, Registeel is a really easy raid boss to take down, probably easier than Regirock. kind of disappointing, but at least you know it's going to be easy to get and you don't have to stress out and worry about beating it or not. Most likely if you go in with the right fire and fighting counters and you have enough trainers in the raid, you're probably going to have an easy time. Okay, so let's talk about Regice. Now, Regice actually has the same stats as Regirock that we talked about earlier. Its max raid boss CP is going to be 41,777, and it has the same 100% CP encounters. It has 1764, and then with the weather boost, it's 2205. Those are the numbers you're going to be looking for. Of course, it is a level 5 raid boss, and it's actually weak to fighting type and fire type, so pretty much any Pokemon that you use to max out for these raid bosses, they're going to work for the other legendaries. So the charge moves that Regice can learn are Focus Blast, Earthquake, and Blizzard. Be careful with an Earthquake Regice because it's going to absolutely destroy your fire types because fire is weak to ground type, so just keep that in mind. If your game isn't recommending any fire type Pokemon, your best bet is probably to just use your fighting types that you powered up for the other legendaries and just stay safe that way. So some of the best counters for Regice would be Moltres with Fire Spin and Overheat, Entei with Fire Spin and Overheat. Of course, we have MACHAMP with Counter and Dynamic Punch, and Hariyama with Counter Dynamic Punch. Now, keep in mind that Regice is actually also weak to Rock type and Steel type, so you can also use Pokemon with Rock and Steel moves. Just be careful with what you use. A lot of Rock type Pokemon are going to be weak to the Earthquake Regice. And another thing also, you can use Ho-Oh with a Steel type fast move, which I think is Steel Wing, and then it has the Fire Blast charge move, so that would be a really good counter as well. So I guess that's all the basics for all of the Regis. If you want more information, like I said, go to PokemonGoHub.net. They have really good information. They give full details of all the different raid bosses. And let's talk about when I think the Regis are coming. So at the time of uploading this video, it's going to be Wednesday, June 6th. I really think that Thursday, June the 7th is when the new Regis are going to come around. They tend to drop new things on Thursdays, and they pretty much have been releasing legendaries one after the other, so that's just my prediction. We don't even know if the Regis are next in the game, but I'm predicting that's what's going to happen. They're the only Gen 3 legendaries that we still need, so I think they might release them the way that they released the Generation 2 Legendary Beast, the way that they did it kind of regionally. You know, you had to wait for that legendary to come to your region. I think they might do that again, and hopefully I'm right, because I'm really excited to get some new legendaries. I feel like Latias and Latios were here for a really long time, and I'm ready for a change, so I'm looking forward to it. But definitely don't just take my word and write it in stone. I do not know if it's actually going to happen yet. I don't know when the Regis are actually going to come, but this is just my prediction, and I want everyone to be ready to take down these new legendary raid bosses. But I guess that wraps it up for today's video. If you guys enjoyed this video, definitely make sure you smash that like button. Hit subscribe if you're new to the channel to join my Gengar Gang, and I will see y'all in the next video. Bye!